So today I have Ms. McCullers, Dr. O'Neill, and Ms. Roberts here to watch my presentation. And today I'm going to talk to y'all about challenges of technology leadership. So as technology has become a bigger deal in education, administrators are now more responsible for it than they have been in the past. And they're actually seen as the driving force, whether or not it's successful or not. So it is up to them a lot of the times to get it to work. So with technology integration comes a lot of challenges, but we're just going to focus on three today. So we have teacher involvement and professional development, funding, stakeholder involvement, and then our social media presence. All right, so the first challenge is getting, teachers involved and then having the money and the time to give them professional development. So we all know that technology changes constantly. I think back to when COVID started and we had to learn how to use Schoology and Power Schools and all that in the blink of an eye. So it is difficult to get teachers to buy in because we're so used to everything changing, and we get used to one thing and then it's changed, within the next year. So a big thing is, do teachers deserve the why? And in the literature reviews that I did, principals were saying it's important to give them the why behind what you're doing. So just like we give students objectives that, hey, you're supposed to reach this at the end of this lesson, we also want to give that to teachers and let them know the reason behind technology integration. So that reason can be, like with Power Schools and Schoology, that, hey, the state has purchased this. We don't have another option. You have to do it. Or it's this digital tool is going to help our students with the ACAP, or it's going to help your students understand difficult, standards. So there's different reasons, and teachers deserve the why. And then they also need the time to collaborate, plan, and learn with specialized training. And I'll talk about specialized training towards the end with the implementation piece. But we as teachers learn best from each other. And, talking to each other and figuring out, hey, what works best in your classroom? Let me see if it'll work in mine, and really working back and forth with each other. So with my research, I found that funding is the biggest issue with technology. So when COVID hit, most schools, if not all schools, went one-to-one. And we all know that that presents unique challenges as far as updating the devices, fixing the hardware, updating software, and deciding what digital tools we're going to use. So principals are now responsible for allocating the funds and working with central office to get the funding for what they need. So one way that principals are starting to handle that is with technology fees, a lot like we do locker fees. They'll do that at the front end, and then they will also, just like we do as far as making them pay for any, repairs or anything like that if they break them. So a big issue now is figuring out how to reallocate funds in a technology classroom, because you're probably not going to need as many copies. You're probably not going to need as many textbooks. And so that money that's left over can then therefore go to technology, new Chromebooks, updating, broadband, whatever it is that's going to help the students. Another thing that principals are dealing with is modern vendors. So because we put everything on social media, emails, phone numbers, all of that, these vendors can reach principals a lot easier than they used to be able to. And so they are hounding principals. And so principals have to look at, do I want to go with this option that I have to pay for, or do I want to go with a free option? What's going to work best for my school? And then the last challenge is, of course, just getting stakeholders involved and then having time to, put a social media presence out there to the community and the parents. But the biggest stakeholder in this are the students. So they have to be our first priority. And we know as educators that technology is going to get them ready for the 21st century. So it's going to give them their critical thinking, communication, and research skills. And that's going to allow them to be ready for the new workforce that is coming. So we have to be able to share that with the community and the students and let them know, hey, this is why you're paying a technology fee. This is why this is important. And, parents are going to want to see their students using the technology in the classroom. So that's going to come with social media and making sure that we're sharing that, because they want to know where their money is going. And a big issue is principals are having to learn to be flexible and humble, because as they are creating these technology, integration, and they're changing things up, they're going to have to fix things as they go, because it's not going to work the first time, because this is all new to all of us. And then you're going to have to be open and honest with the parents and guardians, just like we're open and honest with our students and open and honest with our teachers and giving them the why. We also want to do that with the parents as well. And then having the principals and teachers really have a strong social media presence, again, just so they can see it, they can see what's going on with technology, and they know where their money is going. All right. So this is how we could implement this at Durand South, and I put it into 3 ways. So we're going to have professional development, we're going to have a technology team, and we're going to focus on our social media presence. So the first part of that with professional development is making sure that it's specialized for subjects and ability levels. So me as a social studies teacher of 7th grade, I don't need to go to a K-5 math training. And Debbie doesn't need to go to a K-3 math training. You know, she needs to go to a middle school math training that is specialized for her. And I think that's going to help us buy in to what we're supposed to do, because it's going to be, we can see with our own eyes how we could work it into our own curriculum. It's also going to help if you don't have, you know, an advanced Schoology expert, which I am not, in a Schoology training. So you either want to have like a mentor teacher that's teaching those teachers Schoology, or sending them by themselves to that training, not putting a lot on teachers if they've already gone through that training. The second thing is going to be making sure that we have a technology team, and that will be made up of the building tech coordinator, technologically savvy teachers, and of course principals that would come up with a technology plan. And they would also come up with, hey, when do we need to get new hardware? Do we need screens? Do we need keyboards? Where do we need, you know, what do we need? And then working alongside the budget committee to get that money for the schools, again, going with the allocating funds. And then the last thing that we will do is continue to work on our social media presence. So not only informing teachers, parents, and students, but also making sure that we're sharing the highlights of teachers and students. So I think a lot of the times, like, we use YouTube to highlight students with Student of the Month and everything like that, but we could even do a page dedicated, you know, to that on the website, as far as, hey, these are teachers of the month, or this is what this teacher is doing with technology this week, and have it where it's easily, you know, ready for them to see. And it's not like maybe a video that they have to click, but it's on a home page. Again, they can see where their money is going if we do make them pay technology fees. All right, and then the main focus that we have to remember at the end of the day is just make sure that we have students learning and achieving, and that we must all work together to ensure our students are successful. Does anybody have any questions? All right, that is it.
I don't have any questions, Ms. Johns, but I did want to tell you, you did a good job with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
I agree. I like the ideas that you presented.
Thank you.